have the average?
I do. Just what, do you have the average?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
5.28.
That's what I got.
Good.
Wait, so I was right?
Kinda-ish.
Fuck this.
It's got the 2.8 behind it.
How many pieces of data were there?
21.
Oh,
Grab the notes and you're right there.
Where do I sit?
Right there. Right there.
Can I change?
Mamadas?
Wait, what did you call me?
Do we not?
Alright.
What did you call me?
I'm liking this already. She's gonna keep you in line.
What'd you call me?
What?
I don't.
Here you go. Do you like the concha or no?
I haven't
What?
tried it yet.
Why not?
Isn't average 5.29?
Sure, if we round.
What are we doing?
We're finding the average.
Alright. If we took the data from our class, would it be a good representation of all high school students here at North?
No,
Why not?
because we need all students.
What do you mean?
Only a small group.
Yeah, we're only a small group out of 1,000.
Some people what?
Some kids probably don't even have
kids have
phones.
no lives.
Some
What do you do, homework?
some kids have no lives.
What?
I feel like you're being a little mean there.
Some kids don't even have phones. Or like,
Really?
some kids might even have
Some
like,
kids don't have phones.
flip phones.
Yeah. We're also like.
Really?
We're also
Some
like.
kids use Chromebooks. Does that even count?
Say that again, Mason.
We're also an AP class.
Whoa!
You assume he was dropped off.
You know, not everyone's in AP class.
Off my white line. Just because we're AP.
Alright.
Yeah.
This is an AP class, like Mason said. So, Mason, do you think that would mean that our average is higher or lower than
Well, I don't know. I guess mine is much higher than everybody else's.
yours?
So,
Not much higher. There was somebody else who had a 9.
We can't make an assumption.
Also, I wasn't
can't
here,
hear.
so it doesn't count.
Say that
I
again?
normally average like 11, 12. So
Okay, but
But,
since
yeah.
we're in AP class,
I would say it might be lower on average.
why?
I don't know. We got more.
Because we do homework and we do our work.
But not.
I don't know.
But a lot of that work is probably on a computer for most of us.
That is true. That is true.
I don't think we can.
What else? Why are we not a good representation of North or any high school, really?
We're kind of.
Amber?
We're like upper class people, right?
Juniors and seniors only, right?
Yeah.
Last year I had sophomores in AP, but this year I don't. So it's juniors and seniors only. So we're missing half of the thank you. Thank you. Any other reasons you guys can think of?
Because you don't like when you have our phones out during class, so that limits our time. Some of the teachers probably
It's not
because
true.
they were good teachers.
I am gonna say that we have a good amount of reasons why we're not a good representation. Today we're going to talk about samples, the different types of sampling methods, how to sample well, how to sample poorly. It's look at all the words.
Oh, there's like literally no numbers.
There are literally no numbers.
It's actually so hard.
It is. Take your jacket off. You have a jacket and a sweatshirt. Don't tell me it's too warm in here.
I'm at a great temperature.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. All right. In a statistical study, the entire group of individuals about which we want information is called the population. If we were able to get information from every individual, the survey would be called a census. More often, we take a sample of the population.
Say census?
You know, like the U.S. Census, they do every
No.
10 years? 4 years. 10 years.
I'm
10.
not there.
They did it in 2020, and they actually threatened people if you didn't do the census that they'd send a federal government employee to your house to watch you fill it out. And then if you still didn't do it, they did threaten you with like fines and jail time.
It's just not true.
Because they want every single person to fill it out.
What's a census?
It means you get information from the entire population. Often, you have to do a sample because getting information from the entire population is too hard. So then you use the information from the sample, Colton, to draw conclusions about the entire population. Yes. We want our sample to be representative of the population. So what do I mean by that? What do you think that means? To be representative of the population. Thank you. What do you mean meaningful?
Like it can't just be like outlier data or tray.
Yeah. We'll leave Trey out. What were you saying, Brett?
I just said it has to be like all different types of people from within the population. It can't just be the girls or just be the guys or just be the AP kids. Like it needs to be like
Diverse.
a little bit of everybody.
So what she's saying, I'm going to put into a math term. I don't know if it's really a math term. We want our sample to mirror the characteristics of the population. So down at the bottom, I put a question in, well, it was supposed to be italics, but it doesn't really look much different than the others. This is similar to the type of question you'll see in your homework. A high school's student newspaper plans to survey local businesses about the importance of students as customers. From telephone book listings, the newspaper staff chooses 150 businesses at random. Of these, 73 return the questionnaire mailed by the staff. We want to identify the population and the sample. I personally find it easier to identify the sample first because it's the people, or in this case, the businesses that actually did the questionnaire. So our sample is the 73 businesses who did the questionnaire. Now, the population is where I tend to see kids make mistakes. What do you guys think the population is? It's not the 150, and that's what most kids say.
73.
No, the 73 is the sample. I already gave you that one.
150 plus 73.
Minus 73.
No,
Take away.
Divide.
Who-
Other number?
Multiply.
Multiply.
it doesn't have to be a number. Local businesses.
Just set us up together.
No.
You did it.
They want to survey local businesses, so their population, who they want to generalize. No, they chose 150. If all 150 sent the questionnaire back, that would be our sample.
Trust. Trust that I know this shit, right?
You do not need numbers to make it an answer. That's why I don't like this unit.
Or you have to teach it.
Yeah, it's part of statistics. There's no math. There are numbers. I am lying. We'll use a random digit, a table of random digits. I can speak. Where are you going?
Smith.
These posters are really nice.
I know I think. All right. So now we're going to talk about how to sample poorly, and then we'll talk about how to sample well, and then we'll actually do a sample. All right.
Got one math, that was nice.
Yeah. All right. So a sample that consists of people who choose themselves. A sample that consists of people who choose themselves by responding to an appeal is a voluntary response sample.
Voluntary response sample.
The problem with voluntary response samples is that only those who have a strong opinion about the topic will reply. Oh no, I didn't space that well. My G ran into opinions, and I had lots of space over here, so I got mad at myself. Ugh. All right. This unit, I don't like it. It doesn't have math, and then I also feel like I've really aged myself with these examples. I'm not old. Do you guys know who Ann Landers is?
No.
Do you guys know what an advice columnist is?
No, what?
Wait, sorry,
An advice columnist.
an advice column?
Yeah, like where you write in,
Like an
ask for advice,
Work with me, bro.
and then the person writes back and gives you advice on the situation.
Like a therapist?
But not a therapist.
Is it like anonymous?
No, people, well, I suppose it is anonymous, but people sign their names, but like they don't put, like they'll put Nashley M. They don't like put their last name. You guys don't,
I
I
know
never,
what that is. I just didn't.
an advice columnist.
So Reddit? Reddit.com?
But no.
You don't know what Reddit is?
No,
Never mind.
I don't go on the internet often, except for to do the Wordle. That's like my
Wordle?
time on the internet. And then my job.
I know how to do this.
All right. So, Brooke, sit down.
Do you want to try my drink?
No, I don't. I want you to sit
You
down
want
and
to
be
try the
quiet.
punch I got you?
In a minute. All right. So, Ann Landers.
Wow.
Ann Landers.
Who's Ann Landers?
She was an advice columnist.
Was she good at
And
it?
people wrote into her all the time. Okay? Back when newspapers were actually printed and delivered to houses. See, this is where I start to feel really old because that was my. No, the Mail Tribune does not print anymore. It's all online. It's very
Yeah,
weird.
well, that's because the Tribune sucks.
So, on Saturday or Sunday, there was an extra section, and it had all these different types of non-traditional newspaper columns. She was one of them. People would write into her about a situation they were having, ask her for advice, and she would give it back, or if she didn't know, she'd ask readers to write in. So she had a reader write in and say that they were having issues with their kids, and they were curious if people could go back and redo things, would they have kids again? So Ann Landers put that out in her column, said, hey, I want to know if you could go back in time and redo it, would you still have kids again? What do you think the answer she got was?
No.
Yes.
Overwhelmingly no.
Really?
Yes. Like
That's
over 80% of the people who wrote in said no, I would not have kids
Okay,
again.
but I get it though, because like, you've already had the experience. So like, why would you, if you could redo it, if I could redo my entire life, especially when I was older, I would never do anything the same as I did in the first time, because I already did that. Why wouldn't I do
But you
everything
wouldn't
different?
remember, it's like a reset.
Yeah.
Okay, well if I couldn't remember, then how would I know whether or not I was
If
gonna
they're
have
just saying
kids?
like, did you
it's
hate the experience of having kids?
Pretty
I feel like
much.
it's a different question. I feel like if she asked that, it would be.
Oh no, I would have kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Your kids are angels.
Oh, Josh.
Henry is not an angel,
They're so
right, Trey?
cute.
He's cute, but
He's cute, but he's not an angel.
She like tried to feed me like poisonous berry ones. This one.
I used to make stew.
Like you just like pick these berries from like your backyard and like give them to you and try to get me to eat them.
Which berries?
I don't know. They just didn't really.
The red goji berries?
No,
It's just the one.
they were not goji berries.
You
You're
can take
right.
a girl out of the wild, but you can't take a wild out of a girl.
All right. So I'm gonna have to literally put you two on opposite sides of the room right now, aren't you?
That's not for you. That's
I know it was for that. I could see. But you're gonna go up here.
No!
No,
America!
Please,
you're gonna go up here.
just give
No.
me one more day to
No.
prove myself.
Come on.
Oh,
Heard he didn't
All right.
Oh, it sucked. You'll actually make it over here.
Now, what? Trey,
You airball? Yeah. Was it bad?
Trey,
You go out of balance.
Trey.
Hi.
You said he was a big
you can listen to Kanye right now.
All right. So, the reason why she got an overwhelming response no, and this is just my theory, but voluntary response, you get people who have strong opinions. If you would go back and choose not to have kids, are you the type of person who's probably spending time with your kids? Or would you rather take time to write a letter, put it in an envelope, address it, put a stamp on it, and send it to this lady instead of spend time
Why'd
with
you,
your
really
kids?
why'd you
passionate
like
about
put a
your
stamp
kids.
on it as if that wasn't a 2-second process?
It takes time. So somebody who's willing to write a letter saying, I don't want to have kids again,
Or school or like.
they probably don't like their kids because they're not spending time with their kids.
I think my
Sound like
theory.
leg?
What's it called? The room where they put insane people and there's just like really white walls.
The padded room?
Padded room.
Yeah.
What?
I'm very
kids are
interested
like-
in that
kids are
answer
like-
now.
So what you're saying is that those who are responding might not have been as familiar with the experience and the good,
Okay.
like, memories.
Or they just disliked spending time with their kids so much they were willing to spend less time with their kids to write a letter.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I mean,
Miss-
like,
Kind of speaks.
Miss
in,
Will, if
Yeah.
you
Kids
if
are
you
like
started your
forest.
entire life over knowing what you do currently, would you do anything the same as you are now? Like, why wouldn't you like completely change your life? Just
Don't
because
put
you
hair
can?
in my hair, man.
I guess I have a different view and I don't hate my life, Mason.
I don't hate my life either, but like,
So I would pretty much do everything the same.
is there no like experience that you would rather like do than just to like see how it is?
I would love to travel more,
Why don't you?
but
That's what they all
So to
say.
travel if you have kids.
yeah, but why wouldn't I want to share that experience with my kids?
Because it costs more money.
Okay,
Look around.
but I would pick kids over traveling.
I don't.
I-
It's hard to do that.
Mason, why
So,
do you
but that-
everything ever
Why do you have
said?
to argue with Miss Whittle? She's
No,
always
no,
right.
no,
She
he's
said-
got valid points. I
play
just,
That's why he's
No.
in speech.
Because it costs like what? You have how many kids? 3 kids?
uh-huh.
That costs like over twice as much as if it was just you and your husband.
Yeah, I know,
So you could travel twice as much.
I know,
That's it.
but I would still have kids.
I mean, kids are like farts. You can only tolerate your own.
All right, we're gonna move on from voluntary response. The next type of poor sampling is where you get a sample that consists of people who are easy to reach. That's called convenience.
Is this your hardest class to teach?
No,
This class period?
no.
No, that probability and stats class is
Dude, you know who this is?
Trey,
She's raw, that's it.
Trey. All right, and see, this is where I feel like I aged myself again because nobody goes to the mall. So let's just say store. Actually, I've recently seen this at Costco. That makes me old. Thanks. So, have you guys seen the people outside of Costco and they have their political signs and they want you to sign petitions? And
Yes, I
Okay.
sign all of them.
that's a convenience sample because you get to a lot of people really quick, so you get results. That's the whole idea of going to a store or a mall where there's a lot of people, so you spend less time getting results, and it's not a good way to sample.
So far, I've had this class where I don't know. Like, so much energy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's blood everywhere.
My husband wore the stepbrother's shirt yesterday, you know, the stupid shirt with the shoes.
You just look.
Hey,
in his
I'm
eyes.
recording.
It's okay, I'm gonna watch it later.
Both of these models for sampling may show bias. Bias is where you consistently overestimate or underestimate the variable of interest.
Or underestimate, you said?
Yeah. Bias systematically favors certain outcomes. So again, at the bottom, I have a sampled question like what you'll see in homework. For the following situation, we're going to identify the sampling method they used and explain how that method could lead to bias. A farmer brings a juice company several crates of oranges each week. A company inspector looks at 10 oranges from the top of each crate before deciding whether to buy all the oranges. So, did the inspector use a voluntary response sample or a convenience sample?
Convenience.
and it's convenient. Why?
To get results quickly.
But what about how he did it made it convenient?
He underestimated the
He only looked at oranges on top. So that was the convenience.
Trey, make people uncomfortable. You know what? Dude.
So, how could this lead to bias? Mason?
Maybe all the oranges under the top layer just rotted.
Thank you. I always see this as another time I always feel weird. If I was the farmer, which I'm not a bad person, but when you put all the bad oranges under the top layer, like, I mean, if you know the guy's only going to look at the top when you put all your bad oranges down there, I don't know.
Thank you.
And then there's the whole idea of gravity, where the oranges on the bottom are going to get squished from the weight of the oranges above it anyways.
Oh my gosh.
Bless you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Stop making fun of me.
I didn't even say anything or do anything.
Now we're going to talk about how to sample well. That was poorly. Now we're going to do it well. Good sampling techniques all utilize random sampling. Oops, sorry. There we go. A simple random sample so we use that phrase often. So in the textbook, in your notes, on tests, you may see SRS. That stands for simple random sample because it's something that comes up often. A simple random sample of n individuals from the population is chosen in such a way that every set of n individuals has an equal chance of being the sample actually chosen. Being to help us pick simple random samples, a table of random digits can be used. If you see the textbook, refer to table D. They're talking about the table of random digits. It's in the back of your textbook, but so that you don't have to flip back and forth. I made copies on cardstock. I can count. 3.
You said there was no numbers in this unit.
It's a table of random digits.
I'm going to start burning.
You are like the guy who hides his bad oranges under the good oranges.
Digits. I said there's no math. I did not say there's no numbers. There's a trillion zillion numbers right here. All right, I'll show you how to use this in a minute. On the table of random digits, or table D, each entry in the table is equally likely to be any of 10 digits, 0 through 9. Each entry is independent of the previous one. So knowing the previous entry does not affect the following entry. When we use the table of random digits to choose an SRS, there are two basic steps. Step 1 is our label. You have to give each member of the population a label that is the same length. And then step 2, you use the table to read digits of the appropriate length from table D. So let's see, there's 4, 8, 12, 15, 19, 22 of us in here, not including me. So if I wanted to pick a sample from the class, there's 22 people. 22 is a 2-digit number. So I would have to give each of you a 2-digit label so that you have the same chance of being chosen. Because if I give some of you 1-digit labels and some of you 2-digit labels, how do I know how to read the table? Do I read that number as 1 digit or 2 digits? So we have to make the length of the label the same so that we know how to read the table. If we get a repeat, we ignore it. So if I were taking a sample from this class and giving you a survey, I would not want to pick Allie twice. So if I'm using my table of random digits, Allie's number comes up, and then it comes up again, I ignore it because there's no point in giving Allie the survey twice. So if a repeat shows up, you ignore it. All right, we're going to use table D to do this problem down below. Can I move my paper up? Yeah. And I'm going to use a white one because the orange doesn't show up very well under the doc cam. But I have to find where I put it. Where did I put it? I had it yesterday. Where did the frizzle, frazzle, fruit, dazzle did it go? Is it in here? No. Ah, Scooby-Doo.
Miss Whittle, I think there's a calculator thing you didn't tell us about last unit.
Say that again?
Is there a calculator thing that you didn't tell us about last unit?
Nope.
No. What do you think I didn't tell you about?
Stat Calc 4. And it gives you like A, B, and all of the essential things.
I talked about that, and I told you not to use it.
Bruh.
Well,
Bruh.
Shut up!
Bruh.
Seriously, where did my table of random digits go? Ergs.
Maybe doesn't ask. Bruh.
Didn't want to have to use the orange one. It doesn't show up. Oh well. I guess I'm just going to use it. Alright, well, I can't find my white copy of my table of random digits, so you guys get to bear with me as the orange shows up weird.
What are you looking for?
My table of random digits. But my white copy. Okay. The orange just doesn't show up well. So, first of all, on the far left, it says line and then it's got a bunch of numbers. We don't use those numbers. Those ones go in order 101, 102, 103, all the way to 150. So you might want to put a line so that you know not to use those numbers. When you use this table for a problem, like we're going to do here, it'll tell you to use a certain line to get started. That way, like if you take the AP exam and they have you use a table of random digits, everybody in theory gets the same answer so that they can check it really quick. So they tell you specific lines to start at, and that's what this first column is the line number. You don't use that as your random digits. All right, so the situation is we want to ask a sample of high school students the question, how much do you trust information about health that you find on the internet? A great deal, somewhat, not much, or not at all. You try out this and other questions on a pilot group of 5 students chosen from your class. The class members are listed below. So down here, by last name is the class list. We're going to choose 5 students to be in our pilot group to test our survey questions on. Part A asks us to explain how we would use a line of table D to choose the SRS of 5 students. We have to explain it clearly enough that if somebody else wanted to copy your method, they should get the same answer. So up above, I told you there are 2 main steps. Step 1 is the label, and I would say that's probably the most important step. How many students are in this class? Listed down here. 40. So we have 40 students. 40 is a 2-digit number. So we're going to use a 2-digit label. So usually if we were going to number 40 students, we'd do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, blah, 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 40, right? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are single-digit numbers. What can we do to make them a 2-digit number?
0 before that.
Put a 0 in front of them. So we're going to use 0, 1 through 40 to label these students. So step 1, label all students with a 2-digit number, or label, 2-digit label from 0, 1 to 40. And then Colton, I don't think everybody heard you, but you brought up a good point. We have to specify how we label. Are we going to go down the columns, or are we going to go across the rows?
Down.
Okay. Going down the columns. So now we're going to go and actually do this step. Yesterday, I couldn't count 40. I skipped 0, 6, and I didn't catch it until I was at 33. So hopefully I don't skip any numbers this time. Alright. So I got my labels done. And then step 2, read digits of the appropriate length from table D. That sounds really easy, but there's a couple things we have to specify. Like, what do I do if I get the number 51? Because that's a 2-digit number, but it's not in my class. So what do I do if I get 51? I ignore it. So for step 2, we're going to read 2-digit numbers. Until I get 5 numbers between 0, 1, and 40. I'm going to ignore repeats, like we talked about. I don't want to ask the same person the questions twice. So ignore repeats. Ignore 41 through 99. Because those are 2-digit numbers, not within the range that I'm interested in. And then I also have to ignore 0, 0. Because 0, 0 is a 2-digit number that could show up, which is also not in the range I'm interested in. Any questions? All right, so we're going to use line 107 to read. I'm going to use a ruler to help me kind of follow along. I'm also going to zoom in a little. So there's line 107. We're going to read 2-digit numbers. Now, you guys can have your notes next to this, but I can't, so I'm going to write the 5 numbers up here. You guys don't have to put them up there. You can just put them on your actual note sheet. So the first 2-digit number is 82. I ignore that because that's not in my range. Then I have 73, which I ignore. Then I have 95. Even though there's that space in between it, I do read it as 95. They put this space there so that our eyes can track better. So it's just to help us read it better. It's not to make us ignore. We do 95, that's outside the range. 78, we ignore. 90, we ignore. Then we get 20. That's in the range. So that's our first number. After 20 is 80, I ignore. 74, 75, then I have 11. 11's inside my range. 81, outside. 67 is outside. 65's outside. 53 is outside. 00, outside my range. 94 is out of there. 38, that's a number I can use. Then I have 31, that's also a number I can use. After the 1, I have 48, which I can't use, and 93, I can't use. I got to the end of my line. I only have 4 numbers. I want 5. What do?
Go to the next one.
Go to the next line. 60 is outside my range. 94 is also outside that. So then I have 07, which is in my range. And now I have my 5 numbers. So we got 20, 11, 38, 31, and 07. So that would be Johnson, Drayson, Washburn, Ryder, and Callaway. Oops. You guys should have told me you couldn't see. Thank you. Questions? What do? Nothing. I just find my sample. That's all that we're practicing right now. Eventually we'll do other stuff. Now, like I said, hold on, don't flip. Like I said, table D is helpful because it makes us all get the same answer. Your calculator will pick random digits for you. Yes, it is simpler. But if it specifically tells you to use table D, this is one of the few times that you have to follow that. Before I said if it says use table A, just use the calculator. If it says do this by hand, just use the calculator. If it says use table D, use table D. This is one of the few times that I am going to make sure you know how to use it. The other things didn't matter, but on the AP exam, if you take it, they may ask you to use it, so I want you to know how to do it.
How did you just start 107?
It told me to.
Oh. Thanks.
Alright, so I am going to show you how to do it on the calculator. But, like I said, if it says use table D, use table D.
Can we use this on the test?
Table D? Yeah. Alright, so to get the calculator to pick 5 numbers for us, you're going to hit Math, which is right below Alpha. Should take you to this menu. After you get to that menu, you're going to go over to Prob. Yes, on the old calculators, it's Perb. No O. Once you're at Prob, you're going to choose number 5, Rand Int, or Random Integer. If you have a newer calculator like mine, it prompts you for the lowest number, the highest number, and how many you want chosen. If you have an older one, it doesn't prompt you, but it's the same thing. Put the lowest number, which for us is 1. The highest number. No.
Wait, this is what I got.
Yeah. So you're going to put 1, comma. The highest number is 40, comma. And then we want to choose 5 numbers. You don't need a. Do you need a comma? Yours doesn't prompt you. Oh, okay. So if you have an old calculator, that's what it should look like when you type it in. The newer calculators, it automatically does it. So, when you press enter, it's going to give you 5 numbers. We are going to get different answers because this is random. Although, if your calculator is new, and somebody else's calculator is new, and it's the first time you're both doing random digit generators, you'll get the same answer because they're programmed to start at the same place. Now, can I see yours?
What?
I thought you got a repeat the way you were asking me. Okay. It's not going to happen. All right, I was trying to get one that had a repeat in there. If you get a sample of 5 numbers and there's a repeat, oh, I do have a repeat, 6 and 6. See how I got 6 twice? On the calculator, you can't just ignore that, so you would just have it redo the whole sample.
So you keep clicking enter.
If you hit second enter, it'll just re-enter what you put in. And then I can choose and see I got a repeat again, so then I would need to pick another sample. And there I finally got a sample without a repeat.
I have to put in my data.
1, comma, 40, comma, 5. I don't think you have to end this parentheses. Oh, you chose random integer. Somehow did you press 1 or 4 or something before the fact? That's fine.
That's enough.
All right, so if the homework says use table D, use table D, but your calculator does do it too. We have 3 other sampling methods we need to talk about really quickly. A sample which is found by first dividing the population into groups of similar individuals known as strata, and then finding an SRS for each strata is called a stratified random sample. And my example here is if we took high school students, we want to put them into groups of similar individuals. So I could group kids by grade, so freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. The grade is my strata. And then from each grade, I would take an SRS to give my survey to. Thank you. Yes. Kinda. Well, I saw you one. Good job.
Does that say LFR or just FR?
FR, freshman.
Oh,
Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Me? Waiting a second before I do the next one. Yeah, I ran 5.2 miles this morning.
For the first time in
No. And my puppy made us run at a 7:55 pace. I'm tired.
For
Yeah.
5 miles?
For 5 miles.
Is that good or bad?
I would have died.
There was one point I was going, River. She is really fast. All right, a sample which is found by first dividing the population into groups and then selecting an SRS of these groups is called a cluster sample. Each group should mirror the characteristics of the population. Sticking with the high school theme, bear with me, okay? Independent PE was not a thing when I was in school. PE is a great class that should, in theory, mirror the population. You have all grade levels mixed. You have all genders mixed. You have athletes and non-athletes mixed, in theory. So PE class is a great cluster, and then I could pick random PE classes to do my simple random sample with. I should say middle school PE, because they don't let kids get out of middle school PE. Mere population.
No one wanted to get out of middle school PE. That's hard.
I got out of middle school PE
You just,
Why?
because I did maps aid instead.
cause you did what?
Don't worry about it, Trey.
It was fire.
PE was fun.
What was Swanson?
She was my 7th grade PE teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, oh. I don't know how Charles for dropping it like that. That was so funny.
What did that say?
This one we don't use in this class, so great timing on the bell. You don't need to know this one to do your homework. No, you can do your homework. We don't do that one in this class. It's too complicated.